This is Dragon Ball in general, DB General, and today I am going to talk about Dragon Ball Super Episode 125. The episode title is called, With Imposing Presence, God of Destruction TOPPO Descends. And from that title, what we can gather is that, yes, TOPPO has been a candidate for God of Destruction for a while now, and he decides in this episode to encumber himself or just allow himself into that power of Hakai, the power of destruction, they call it in this episode. So we're going to get right into that. So here we go. Starting out this episode, we have Vegeta and Goku still fighting against Jiren, and they're honestly not getting anywhere. I mean, it's getting a little bit old at this point. They just keep going at Jiren, and they're really not doing anything. And even at one point, Goku is able to grab on to Jiren, and Vegeta fires a final flash at him. Jiren diverts the final flash with his eyes. So at this point, Jiren is just he's crazy, insane strong, and they're not getting anywhere with him. Whoop-de-effing do. This has been going on for how many episodes now, where they start out with this, and then but it's finally, thankfully, coming to a head in the next few episodes. So after we get this little Jiren Vegeta Goku scuffle here, we go over to TOPPO versus 17. I thought that 17 was gonna do a bit better against TOPPO, and the whole first sequence here where 17 is firing a whole bunch of ki at TOPPO, I'm just thinking, like, well, where's Frieza? What happened to Frieza? Like, isn't he still there? Like, and so I was right. Frieza is still there, and while 17 and TOPPO are in a beam struggle, Frieza comes up from behind TOPPO and just starts blasting TOPPO in the back. So after Frieza starts hitting TOPPO with these beams, TOPPO basically can't handle it anymore, and he gets washed off the screen with 17's beam, and the beam's coming from Frieza, and I'm thinking he's like sort of down for the count. I don't know why they don't just throw him out while he's on the ground. By the way, epic visuals in this episode. By the way, the visuals are amazing. The animation was great in this episode. 9 out of 10, definitely. We definitely got some banked animation, some reused animation, but for the most part, I was okay with it. But there was a lot of new stuff here as well. And was it just me, or did Frieza seem a bit more shinier and golden in this episode? Maybe it was just me, but he seemed a little bit more shinier, if that makes any sense. So TOPPO's down, of course. He just got basically sandwiched between Frieza and 17's energy. TOPPO is on the ground. Next thing we know, TOPPO stands up, and Frieza's like, "Wow, you're persistent." And at this point, TOPPO's shirtless now, and he says that justice is worthless now, and that all that he cares about is winning and surviving, and that he's made up his mind. So I guess he basically accepts that he is the new God of Destruction for Universe 11, which I don't even know how that's fair. How are you going to have a God of Destruction now, even though he is a candidate? Like, basically make up his mind in the middle of the tournament, and now he's able to use this God of Destruction or Hakai power. It honestly doesn't really make much sense to me. It feels sort of cheap, and it's just a way to basically put TOPPO on the same scale, if not stronger than Jiren. I don't know if I would go that far and say that he's stronger than Jiren, but he's definitely at a point where he's almost as strong as Jiren, and he just tanks everything at this point. So Jiren, Goku, and Vegeta stop fighting to watch what's about to happen, and they realize that this is a massive, massive energy here that is emanating from TOPPO. It's definitely different. It's Kaioshin even says it's almost identical to a god's, and before he can, finish his sentence, Universe 11 Kaioshin comes in and says, yeah, that's what God of Destruction power feels like. Blah, 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 blah. He's a candidate. Da, 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 da. Anyways, so now TOPPO is up on his feet, and it seems like he's powering up into this God of Destruction form. He gets these purple eyes, and he gets these the God of Destruction little symbols on his chest, like holographically. I don't know how they got there. Again, doesn't really make sense. I don't know what's going on here. We need more explanation. Again, this episode just is filled with even more questions. Like, I feel like, going into the end of this tournament, they need to explain to us what all of this means. How is TOPPO doing this? Like, how is he just able to awaken this God of Destruction power in him? I don't get it. I don't understand it, and it's not made clear by the viewer, myself and everybody. It's not really it just doesn't make a lot of sense. You would think that, Grand Priest or the Omni King would be like, well, since he's a God of Destruction now and not just a candidate, we're gonna have to take him out. He's, disqualified. But no, they don't even really, say too much about it. They're just like, oh wow, yeah, he cracked the stage in half. Oh, cool. So now TOPPO is basically engulfed in this Hakai energy, and he's all big and bulky. And like I said, the visuals are amazing here. Very, very dark imagery. Just the artistry is amazing here. He powers up, and this basically changes the color of the sky. It's not green anymore. It doesn't have that like Zamasu effect where you can kind of see Zamasu's face like in the back behind the green clouds. You can't see that anymore. It's more of a cosmic like space dust type atmosphere now in the world of Void. So he changed the whole world of Void thing, or the scenery. So TOPPO goes ahead and he shoots a energy of destruction, like energy ball that we've all seen before from when Seadra gave it to somebody in order to assassinate Frieza and Goku. So Frieza remembers this as TOPPO shooting it at him, and Frieza's like, "Oh yeah, I've dealt with this power before. This is nothing new." But you gotta remember, Seadra was probably on the lower spectrum of God of Destruction power, and TOPPO is on a whole different totem pole, and he's on a whole different level than Seadra, I could imagine. So Frieza's like, "Well, one hand will do," but he quickly realizes that that's not enough, and he's about to get effed up by this ball of destruction. So he's shocked by it. It explodes, and so I'm thinking at this point, Frieza's not eliminated, but he might be KO'd. So the stage is cracked in half, like I said. And everybody is standing on these floating rocks now. Goku, Vegeta, Jiren, they're all standing on the floating rocks. TOPPO's basically just standing there. He's basically like, I am beyond justice and evil now. I'm all about winning and survival and yada, yada, yada. And 17 is trying to come up with like a plan in order to take this guy out. TOPPO starts shooting at him, and he puts up his energy barrier, and TOPPO's beams are his key waves are so strong that they literally crack Android 17's what we thought was uncrackable energy barrier cracks through and almost gets 17, but he jumps out of the way and he starts jumping all around and firing a whole shit ton of key blasts at TOPPO. So 17 is able to escape. Now TOPPO fires another energy ball and he's like Hakai right at 17. 17 dodges it and it goes all the way up and almost hits the stands. And I honestly thought maybe it would have been sort of cool if it did hit the stands, but the stands, like of course the Grand Priest or some Omniforce is basically protecting the stands. It would have been kind of cool to see the ball of destruction sort of hit it and like get basically decomposed or brushed away like it was nothing. That would have been kind of cool. It would have just giving you back this sense of, oh yeah, he's not the strongest. Jiren and him are not the strongest. Grand Priest and Omni Kings still are. So don't ever forget that. It would have been a nice little homage to that. But no, the ball just went straight up right at the last second above them and didn't hit them at all. Beerus points out that this confirms it, that he has to actually charge the energy first before he can throw it. And but then Gohan points out that that doesn't really matter much, because if he's his aura is the Hakai energy, so anything that touches TOPPO will get destroyed and end up like all the rubble that's been floating around TOPPO and just disintegrates. So if you go try to touch TOPPO, you'll disintegrate. So now we get a callback here from when Goku turned Super Saiyan and Frieza. This is right before Goku first turned Super Saiyan, where Frieza comes up behind the rock and kills Krillin and takes out Piccolo, where he comes up from behind the rock. He has his leg up on the rock with his eye basically twitching and closed. It was like an exact look-alike. It was exactly how it was. So I thought that was pretty cool. He's basically really mad. He's like, I'll destroy you. I don't care what your title implies. Blah, 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 blah. And TOPPO's like, what can you do covered in all those wounds? Try your best. Frieza charges up a huge ball of energy that I think he actually used against Future Trunks in their first encounter. So a lot of callbacks in this episode. And again, the visuals here are amazing. I love the visuals. I'm a sucker for visuals, if you didn't know that already. So Frieza proclaims that he's going to erase TOPPO. So he throws this ball, and literally TOPPO takes this like little teeny tiny ball of destruction and flicks it out at the ball that the energy ball, the Planet Buster, I think it's called, of Frieza's, and it just literally disintegrates Frieza's this huge ball of energy that Frieza just tossed at TOPPO, taken out by like a pebble size of this Hakai energy. I thought that was really, really cool. TOPPO's like, you haven't had enough already. So he goes and he charges Frieza, hits Frieza really hard in the gut, takes Frieza down, and basically takes him by the head and says, if it wasn't for us being disqualified, if I kill you, I would destroy you right now, right here. I don't care if you're already dead. I will freaking erase your ass with this Hakai. And basically squeezes Frieza's head really hard. I thought that this scene, again, just looks awesome. I mean, just look at it. It looks awesome. But that must really, really hurt. Throws Frieza to the ground, kicks Frieza, tries to kick him off the stage, but 17 throws a rock at Frieza so that he kind of lands on another rock with one of his arms off the stage. So next we get 17 up against TOPPO again, and TOPPO is like, everything you try is going to be futile, and 17's like, well, we'll see about that. No, there's nothing else I could do but try. And so he charges up a huge key wave, and TOPPO charges up another ball of destruction, and that is the cliffhanger for the episode. So great visually on this episode. A lot of stuff really didn't make sense to me for the whole God of Destruction thing. Like, is it even still okay for him to be competing? Now, for next episode, Vegeta is going to be going up against TOPPO. So what does that mean? Does that mean that Goku and Jiren are battling it out by themselves? Like, how is that possible? A lot of questions going into next week. A lot of, I feel like, they're just trying to wrap up this story now, because obviously Super, as far as this series, this storyline or continuity, is coming to an end, unfortunately. But at this point, I feel like they're just like rushing it out the door. And it's funny because we now have 5 minutes left in the Tournament of Power, so we all know what 5 minutes means in Dragon Ball in general. So 5 minutes could be, another 6-7 episodes. But I think that there's only going to be about 6 more episodes until it's done. So 6 more episodes, and hopefully we have a lot more, answers to all of our questions and stuff like that. I didn't do a preview analysis for this episode from last week, so I apologize for that. I'm not sure if I'm gonna get around to doing it for the next episode, because honestly it seems pretty straightforward. Vegeta's gonna be going up against TOPPO. I don't know what's going on with Frieza and 17. Maybe they're off the stage. I don't know any spoilers about that, nor do I think that we have any on that. So that has been my thoughts and opinions on episode 125 of Dragon Ball Super. This episode overall gets a solid 7 out of 10. It would have gotten a 5 or 6 out of 10, just because I didn't really understand the whole God of Destruction, Hakai, how is he even still able to battle thing. But overall, it was a good episode. I watched it a couple times, and I don't think I'm gonna watch it again. It's basically the effects and the visuals were delicious, but other than that, there wasn't much story here. There was a couple homages, back to Dragon Ball Z. There was, but we got the same with Jiren and Goku and Vegeta. Nothing is happening between them. It's just the same back and forth. And then, last week we had Gohan, but that's I'm rambling on now, I feel like. So that is my rating for this episode, 7 out of 10. Good overall episode, watchable episode, definitely watchable episode if you like visuals. But if you wanted to learn anything about the story or anything plot-wise, don't expect it from this episode. So that's been my thoughts and opinions on Dragon Ball Super episode 125. I want to thank everybody for watching. You can go ahead and follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram, and subscribe if you like these videos. I want to thank everybody for watching. I think I said that already, but now I'm just repeating myself because I want to get this video done. So everybody, as I always say, have a great morning, have a great night, and have an awesome day. DB General out.